Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia and the battle of Avdiivka. Ukrainian defense line at Avdiivka is collapsed. It's not even collapsing, it has collapsed. The Given the kind of frontline change you get to see today, it's very hard to convince any sensible people that the Ukrainians still can defend it in a meaningful way. So I'm gonna show you the strategic picture right now. The Russian forces have closed up at the railway. They have attacked into the southern part of the coke plant. They have pushed out towards Leshtokine, pushing southward as well at the same time. So basically corroborating what I said. They could go westward or southward, and they chose to go both way. And over at this encirclement that was developing, it was entirely encircled. The Ukrainian mapping have entirely given up after geolocation of Russian forces over within the former air defense base, and basically confirmed that the Russians have basically closed up and conquered the entire southern part of this region outside of Avdiivka city. And there is also news that the Russian forces have taken the Donetsk filtration station. There's a small push over along the lake region in the northern part of Avdiivka. Basically, every front line is collapsing. The only one that is still holding up, or the Russians are not pushing, is over on the eastern part as well as the southern part within the city itself. But it's probably because the Russians are not pushing at all over in this region here, because from the geolocations and the information, the Russians are just bombarding and softening up the Ukrainians in this area here and within the fortress, the citadel of Avdiivka. And we are going to see a major rout of Ukrainian forces within Avdiivka, because the one at the Donetsk filtration station, the information is not because of fighting, but it's more of the Ukrainian forces has basically given up the position. They are retreating. So there is a major rout. There is a lot of rumors coming out from troops from the Ukrainian side, telling their loved ones or to their sources, to the open source intelligence, the Telegram channels or whatnot, that basically is a chaotic retreat right now. So I'm going to expect the Ukrainians to quickly get out before this Russian force over the north push and cut off the final road of retreat. So let's go into a bit more detail into what the hell is happening right now. And we need to go into the southern part first, over the Opine region, because this is where we were expecting some kind of encirclement. And as they close, we are expecting the encirclement, and there's some kind of push to wipe out the rest of the Ukrainian forces over this pocket. However, Deep State UA, after seeing the geolocation of this Russian flag being raised at the air defense base, or the Zenit, they codename it Zenit, they basically just gave up. Their entire mapping went from there is this encirclement that they drew. Then the next map that they released was the entire closure. The entire area is now Russian. This is Ukrainian mapping. This is not Russian. In fact, based on the Russian mapping, it was not even this advanced. The Russian mapping is still here. This is where the front line of the Russian mapping is. The Ukrainian mapping themselves, the Ukrainian open source intelligence, are the one that is conceding that they have lost a lot more ground than even the most pro-Russian mapping is showing. So, and I believe that this actually correlates with the reality a lot more, because you don't concede defeat easily. So with the Ukrainians acknowledging all these things, it's most likely that the Russians are indeed pushing that far ahead. And for the Russian side, the pro-Russian open source intelligence, they are a bit more conservative, and clearly they also cannot get the latest information because it is operational secret. So the frontline troops are not going to give the open source intelligence or the Telegram channels the most latest information, because is subjected to change, is operational secret. However, on the Ukrainian side, they are already telling you everything is collapsing. So this basically has closed up and straightened the entire front line between the southern neighborhood at Avdiivka city, as well as this salient that was developing at Opine, the northeast of Opine. So this has straightened out, and this will mean that the next battleground is going to be along this tree line and within the city itself, and the Russians can start to push northward, or they can actually decide to close with the pincer that's coming down from the north. So, and this fortress is not going to be much of a fortress. The amount of airstrike that is being rained onto this citadel, or this high-rise region, or this high-rise neighborhood of Avdiivka, is insane. I don't think Ukrainian forces would want to stay there, and most likely they are just staying within the bunkers, and given a chance, I think they will just escape, because I think it is lost. So I don't think they would think otherwise as well. There's no way you can hold up there. The Russians are not going to just storm it stupidly. So, and over on this southeastern part, there is information from Ryba, the pro-Russian source, reporting that the Ukrainian forces have withdrawn away from this area here. This is one of the furthest point from the escape point. The only dirt road out of Avdiivka right now. And if they want to escape, they need to start escaping earlier. And I believe that the troops probably gotten some network, check the internet, and realize that, check the mapping and see the craziness that is unfolding away from their front line. They probably decided that it's time to run. And this is actually a reality. A lot of the Ukrainian forces actually check the Deep State UA's mapping. And Deep State UA actually a few days ago made a post dispelling some fake news and telling people not to spread the fake information and stick to the Deep State UA's mapping. And in fact, certain actions and certain clarification, the Deep State UA boasted that helped to maintain the front line, because the troops are panicking, and it is Deep State UA's posting that allows them to feel secure, and they stay at the front line holding the line instead of a massive collapse. I think this is referring to the situation in the Kupiansk front. But this time around, Deep State is actually telling the Ukrainian forces the absolute fact or the reality of the situation. I think they are trying to encourage the troops to escape from this encirclement, this envelopment that is currently happening over in this area here. And I believe the next push is going to be this one. Somewhere around the northeastern part of Vodian, or the eastern part of Zhevene, the Russians are likely to make one major push to close this pincer. So I think for a lot of the Ukrainian supporters, even I see on Twitter, they are actually talking about wanting the Ukrainian forces to quickly retreat. So I believe this is actually what is happening. Why Ryba is actually revealing so much, that even the Russian mappings are not really telling. So over in the northern part, I'm going to break this into two parts. This mapping, this is actually the Deep State UA's report, the latest frontline change. This one over here, this is Ryba, and this is by Ryba. So there is a drastically different mapping between the Ukrainian mapping and the Russian mapping. The Ukrainians are talking a lot more about the Russians pushing up into this junction, closing the gateway of the main road into Avdiivka. They are pushing along the tree line towards Lashtoshkine, and they are pushing south towards the north western part of the Khimik region, or the 9th district, the high-rise district of the Avdiivka. So this is the Ukrainian focus. The Russian focus, instead, they did not mention about this breakthrough into the fields outside of Avdiivka. They are talking about this breakthrough into the south of the coke plant. So let me zoom in a bit so that maybe you can see better. So this is the Deep State UA's claims, or the reports about the Russian push. They are pushing in this area, and actually also in the south towards the Avdiivka railway station. The Russian mapping is not focusing on this area here. They are talking more about this push into the south of the coke plant. And of course, they also mentioned about this area here because there is a geolocation of the Russian waving their flag at this junction, of this major road out of Avdiivka. So which is why it becomes the DPA have to concede because of the geolocation, and somehow they are getting all this video footage really fast. I think this is a benefit of working with a team. And right now also in their mapping shows that the Russians have basically straightened the entire front line along the railway line on the eastern part of the coke plant. So everything east of the railway line, this is the railway line all the way towards the Avdiivka railway station. Everything east is now under Russian control, according to the Russians. And I believe they're most likely is going to be correct, because it's very hard to imagine the Ukrainians continue to hold the line over there. It's just going to be very difficult. But not every source is able to cover every single information. So this is why at DPA we cover from multiple sources, and we can get the absolute general picture. And this is most likely what's currently happening. The entire front line is collapsing, and in fact it has already collapsed. To be able to have so much frontline change, and it's unclear if the Ukrainian forces is able to develop the next line of defense at this moment, because it seems like everything is in chaos. Now everything is in absolute chaos for the Ukrainians. And another one small frontline change is over here. The Russians are starting to push within the city itself already. This time around it's along the lake. There is some change from the Russian side. Because the Russian mapping wasn't so advanced as the Ukrainians one, so they were talking about this Russian push in this area here. However, in our mapping, it is already mapped based on the Ukrainian mapping. So the Russians are already starting to push, and they're going to eject the Ukrainian forces away from the city through a push in this way, forcing the Ukrainians to exit, to go out of the city. The situation is horrible, and I'm not sure how many troops is actually within the city. For the Ukrainians, I'm not sure whether they can even escape at all. All the information and indicators, the signals, the rumors are all horrible for the Ukrainians. So that is the current situation. And in the macro situation, there is no more reports about fighting at Novokalinove. The Russians are pushing at Pervomaiski, according to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry. So we are going to expect an attack on Lashtoshkine soon, a push south to cut off the final road of retreat. The Russians are going to continue their advance from the Opine region, going up north towards the Kimik region. In the pincer, I believe there will be a new advance from the eastern part of Germany to meet the pincer, and the Russians are pushing to close up the entire eastern part in the southeast first. And after they have finished the softening up of the Ukrainian forces in the northeast, they're going to do another push in this area here. So this is the strategic situation and what is likely to be appearing and coming for the next 24 to 48 hours. So anyway, thank you for watching. Anyway, the Ukrainian fighting in the south of the coke plant, this is developing. The Russians have started bombarding the coke plant already. There is already geolocation of the bombardment, and they are just off this is actually a fire station. They're just off the fire station. The entire area here is already a gray zone, and the Russians are quickly pushing out in this area here. So the pro-Russian side also did mention that because of the coke plant is a heavy industry area, there is a lot of good defensive positions for the Ukrainians. So they're telling their followers not to expect a quick capture. So I personally not sure, because of the way how everything is routing. There is a possibility that the Ukrainian forces that is holding in this area here would abandon position and quickly run off to avoid a certain death. So so you can take it whatever you like, the way you think it could enveloped or developed. So anyway, this is the update over at the situation at the Battle of Avdiivka. Ukrainian forces, the Ukrainian defense has collapsed. Ukrainian forces are in disarray. We will continue to monitor and see what is going to come. I just want to say how fast one more thing. The situation developed so quickly over the past 24 hours. Ryba actually have to make 3 different Avdiivka reports just to cover the frontline change, because they can't even keep up with because the changes are so fast that they have to keep invalidating their own information with every new piece of information that is coming up. So thank you for watching. Press the like button, subscribe. You have to subscribe, and to support my work, and share this with your friends and family and contacts who are interested in the latest situation in the Battle of Avdiivka. I'll see you guys in the next update.